Bateman Resources Limited is a gold exploration company with significant projects in British Columbia and the Yukon, trading on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol ABN, and the OTCQB, symbol ABNAF. Surrounded by world-class gold deposits and mines, Bateman's 23,000 hectares Forest Kerr Gold Project is located in the heart of the Golden Triangle in northwestern BC. For more information, visit us at batemanresources.com.
Welcome to the Goddard Report. Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association in BC. His website, ICBA.ca. Welcome back to the show, Jordan.
Thanks for having me, Jim.
Jordan, the BC government says it's going to give a rebate and lower rates for ICBC, the mandatory government car insurance program. The rest of Canada got lower rates and rebates last year. A lot of them even in the summer or spring because of fewer drivers and fewer accidents due to the pandemic. How come BC took so long, and is this good enough?
Well, there's a couple of different issues there, but you're right. ICBC might be the last insurance company in North America to give out rebates for the COVID period. So, last year, obviously, people were driving less because there was mandatory lockdowns. Even now, traffic has not returned to its normal state. And so folks were driving less, but we're paying the same in car insurance. Meanwhile, with fewer cars on the road, therefore there are fewer accidents, and far, far fewer accidents than a normal year. And so there was this pot of money slowly building where we're all paying premiums, but there isn't as much being paid out to drivers and victims and things like that. So every other insurance company came forward. I mean, I work for ICBA. We have a group health and benefits program with 75,000 people who get their group health benefits through us. And we gave a rebate to our buyers, to our clients, in May and June last year. We announced it late April because we could see the trend and saw that, there were fewer claims going on. Other car insurance companies, including public ones in Canada, gave out rebates, but not ICBC. They held on to that money, and just waited, refused to release their financials, which had to have been rebounding since they were taking in the same amount of money and spending so much less. And now finally, realizing that they were going to have to post their financials and knowing they couldn't go to the public showing a huge profit built on the backs of all of us during COVID. Now they're finally saying that they're going to give a rebate. There's some problems with that rebate. Number one, it's the most people who get the most amount of money back are the worst drivers or the ones insuring the fanciest cars. That is going to not go over well with the public, I don't think. The fact that it's coming so late in the process, that's not going to go over well with the public. But at least it is some money, trickling back to the policyholders, which, given where many of us are financially right now, will always be a welcome thing.
Most of your members are small to medium-sized businesses, aren't they?
Yep, that's correct.
And how well has the government done on both provincial and federal levels on making sure that small and medium-sized businesses can survive this pandemic?
Well, the federal government has spent a lot of money on this. Obviously, you have the wage subsidy that held a lot of jobs in place during rough times. The province, on the construction file, allowed construction to continue with new safety protocols, so that was good. However, the provincial program for small, medium-sized businesses, they have $600 million budgeted for it. They've only given out $10 million of it. And the reason why is they made this, or $300 million, they've given out $10 million. The reason why so little of this money has gone out the door is they made the turnstile to get into the program so narrow that very few businesses could qualify. Essentially, they cut out any business that had been around for less than 2 years, any business that didn't see massive precipitous drops in finances, which, okay, is one thing, but, then you're only giving those businesses $30,000. So, if you've seen sales dry up by, $500,000 and you got to do all this paperwork to get $30,000 back, that's not a great thing. There's a lot of problems with that program. They've tried retooling it twice. They tried to up it to $45,000 for tourism businesses, and yet they still have very little pickup because there's just so much red tape that the NDP want before they'll hand out the money.
Well, I mean, all of us have seen the boarded up storefront saying tourism hit hard. In New Westminster, where I live, just a few blocks away, is the native paddle wheeler, which had been in business for 30 years. They're not operating anymore. They say they may never operate because they just can't afford to park their boat.
Well, you're exactly right. And, I think that once vaccinations pick up, once we feel like life is starting to return to normal, we're going to take real stock of our communities. And you're going to realize that a lot of the businesses, a lot of the services that maybe you've been thinking about for a long time about getting back to, they're not going to be there. You're going to see empty storefronts in every little, strip mall, every little neighborhood commercial area, every shopping mall, every little downtown core. They're all losing businesses. And right now we're all pretty focused on, what we have to do. Like, I have to get groceries, so I got to make sure I have time to do that, and I have to go here and there. So you're focused on the must-haves. Once we get back to the nice-to-haves again, I think we're going to be startled at just how few options we have left.
Also, over 70% of jobs were provided by small business. Do you think government gets that yet?
I don't think the provincial government gets it terribly well. Just the fact that they're holding back these hundreds of millions of dollars worth of relief and help for small, medium-sized businesses and just being completely inept at getting that money out the door to them shows you that they don't really get it. They don't understand that this is the important engine. They'll say all the right things, Jim, right? Like, it's, small business, the engine of the economy. But, saying is one thing, doing is another, and we haven't seen enough help or support for these small businesses. And in fact, we're now at this point where this pandemic's going on a year. I think a lot of small businesses hung on as long as they could. And now they're just kind of quietly like lights in the night being extinguished.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Engineer Gold Mines is focused on the exploration and development of the historic high-grade Engineer Gold Mine situated 32 kilometers southwest of Atlan, British Columbia. Engineer Gold Mines is fully permitted for surface and underground exploration with the drill program now underway. Engineer Gold Mines Limited trades on the TSX Venture Exchange, symbol EAU. For more information, please visit us at engineergoldmines.com.
Value from success. Growth in discovery. Golden Arrow Resources is a well-funded gold-copper exploration company with proven management and prospective properties in Chile, Argentina, and Paraguay. Golden Arrow trades on the Toronto Venture Exchange, symbol GRG, on Frankfurt, symbol G6A, and the OTCQB, symbol GARWF. For more information, visit us at goldenarrowresources.com or call Sean at 778-686-0135.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. Jordan, how are business plans going for next year and the year after? Because construction is the kind of business where plans have to be made well in advance.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Jim. They do have to be made in advance. And right now we're seeing, for 2020, we think probably a 5% or so decline from last year as far as construction goes. Now, early days, part of this is tied up with some of the rules that have been brought in around work camps and the pipelines. Some of it will be contingent on LNG Canada scaling up quickly this summer. That will mask a lot of the construction job losses, having those big resource project construction jobs going. But yeah, last year we would say about, probably 15% drop in construction hours worked, according to our records. And then we expect another 5% this year. And then hopefully in 2022, that 5% comes back. And, maybe by 2025, 2026, we're back to close or where we were at pre-COVID. So this is a downward cycle. I think a lot of businesses are tightening their belt. I think a lot of folks are trying to make sure that, they can continue on. And, it's a tough time for a lot of companies out there as they find themselves bidding on projects, on trades. Maybe in the past they would have had to bid against 3 or 4 other companies. Now all of a sudden there's 8 or 9 in the mix. There's a lot of hunger for these jobs.
competition, of course, is always good to make sure that we have survival of the fittest. But right now, everybody's been wounded. Nobody's fit.
Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, no one is, well, hardly anyone is feeling flush with cash these days. You know, it used to be the odd story of the Bell Medias of the world with a bunch of money or paying out shareholders. But generally, businesses are holding the line at best or slightly off. It's tough. You know, like, I don't envy business owners. And you and I have talked about this before. Like, you know, you think of these small businesses and the hopes and dreams and personal savings that get invested into them by families, by people who are looking for a better life. Or, you know, they could have had the best business plan. They could have had the best location, the best service. But it's out of their control. And, you know, they're being forced to shut down or find other, you know, barely survive, lay off staff. It's through no fault of their own. It's not the fault of their food or their service or the location or their business plan. It's through the fault of this pandemic, through the government restrictions, you know, the heavy hand of the provincial health office, meant to keep us safe, no doubt. But, you know, there are consequences to these decisions.
I know governments have allowed taxes to be deferred, but should small and medium-sized businesses get that tax actually wiped out so that they can start quicker, faster, and fresher?
Yeah, we did argue that at the beginning. The tax deferrals now, I believe, are gone. They've all come due. That's why you saw a few more businesses close their doors. You know, right now, I just think of that, those hundreds of $millions that the provincial government has squirreled away, supposedly for small business relief. And the thing they need to do, above all else, is get that money out the door to the right people. Like, smarten up. Let's get that money going and at least start there. I'm always one for lower taxes and less red tape. But, you know, you've got this money in hand. Like, get it out the door to the people who need it.
We'll have more with Jordan Bateman right after this.
Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications, patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Jordan Bateman. BC held off raising the BC carbon tax, but the federal government is going to add the Canadian Clean Fuel Standard, another carbon tax, and has no plans on holding off on that. Is that the wrong move at the wrong time?
Yeah, I think it is the wrong move. Now, British Columbia, it's not quite as detrimental. BC already has these clean fuel rules, so that price is also built into our very high gas prices. But look, for the rest of Canada, you know, you can fill up for 90 cents a liter or something in Edmonton, and you come across to BC, and I think it's $1.35 right now. That difference, it's not in supply. It's not in, you know, the gasoline itself. That difference, the cost is taxing. We overtax. And, you know, BC has actually, you know, because the borders have been closed, we don't have that option, the people who live along the southern edge of Canada, to go across the border to the United States to a lower tax jurisdiction and fill up. So this has been very costly for a lot of families. Now, you know, families are driving less. People are going to the office every day. So that's been helpful. But these costs add up. One thing to also remember is that our carbon tax is already far higher in BC than it is in the rest of Canada, even with Trudeau's increases. But, you know, my message to the rest of Canada would be, you know, look to your left coast to see what's going on here as far as carbon taxes go. You're going to see much higher energy costs here, much higher gasoline prices. So, you know, if you think this is worth it, good for you, but you should know that this is coming with a big cost.
Unique to British Columbia is the fact that people here also pay for transit through gasoline taxes. And what's that, 18.5 cents a liter, something like that?
Yep, that's correct. I think all told, the total tax on the Lower Mainland per liter is something like 52 cents a liter, including GST on top of all the other taxes. So you're actually paying a tax on tax which is still one of the most regressive, stupid things that we have in a country with a lot of stupid tax policy. Paying tax on other taxes might be the most stupid.
Well, we can thank Jean Chrétien for that. He promised he wouldn't pay GST on taxes, and then he put GST on gasoline taxes.
Yeah, you can blame Chrétien for it, but, back in my days with the Taxpayers Federation, Stephen Harper, then an opposition leader, promised that he would review that and get rid of the tax on tax. Then he was in power for whatever it was, 8-10 years, didn't touch it. Now, Trudeau is in, he hasn't touched it. So there's lots of blame to go around for all these folks. Governments are greedy when it comes to their tax inputs. They don't give them up very willingly. But tax on tax is something that, we as Canadians should just be beside ourselves about.
Have you ever seen a government rescind a tax? Remember, income tax was brought in to pay for the First World War. Apparently it was a very expensive war.
Yeah, rarely. And then often they switch it. MSP, for example, got canceled in BC, but then they just brought in the employer health tax, which is just a tax shift. It wasn't a real tax cut. The carbon tax funded a bunch of so-called tax cuts. Again, those were shifts. It did actually end up with more money in people's pockets. One of the great ones is, if you recall, BC went into deficit slightly around 2008 during the great worldwide recession, and the BC Liberals brought in, I think it was a 2-year high-income earner surtax. So they paid their normal higher income tax rate, and then added another couple points on that. Yeah, and the promise then was, you'll pay that until we balance the budget, then it'll go away. Well, sure enough, they balanced the budget. The BC Liberals removed that surtax, and the NDP win an election based on, they're giving tax breaks to the richest British Columbians. Well, no, those British Columbians were actually paying a surtax on everything else. The government at the time had made an explicit promise, we'll take it off when we balance the budget again. Promise kept, but the NDP used that as some sort of nefarious, evil thing that somehow rich people are getting a tax break that no one else got.
Jordan, anything else we should be taking a look at right now that has you concerned?
Well, Jeff, one thing I would like to say about mental health, there's been a lot of talk of mental health the past few weeks. There was Let's Talk Day. Check in on your workers. That's one of the messages we're giving our members is check in on your workers. This pandemic now is coming up on a full year. This has taken a big toll mentally on many, many people. Even your healthiest workers might be struggling with the fallout of this. Lots of anxiety. There's been lots of loss. There's been, a real reduction in the way people can expend energy. You can't watch your kids' sports. You can't, get together with friends. There's been a lot of sacrifices made this past year. So take a moment, check in with your staff, your workers, your friends, your family. Don't be afraid to reach out and get the help you need. This has taken a real toll on a lot of people.
I just thought maybe, a gift basket to your employees, if they're working from home. Hey, we haven't forgotten about you and you're really appreciated.
Yeah, that's a good point. One of the things that we do regularly at ICBA is, we buy lunches for folks, and, it's a gesture that means a lot to them, and it's one less thing they have to think about that day, like, where am I eating? Where's that food coming from? It's just a little thing you can do to make things a little bit better. There was just be mindful of folks. Like, this is a lot. This is a lot. It's been going on. Think of the discomfort you feel in your own life. Realize that other people are probably feeling it too. And if there's something you can do to lift a burden off someone else for a little bit, do it, because, you're also lifting your own.
Jordan, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thanks for having me.
My guest has been Jordan Bateman, Vice President of Communications and Marketing for the Independent Contractors and Business Association. His website, icba.ca. If you have any questions for Jordan or any of our other guests, you can send them to info@howstreet.com, our YouTube channel, Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @TalkDigitalNet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on the Goddard Report and TalkDigitalNetwork.com are an expression of opinion only. The Goddard Report is available online and mobile at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. The Goddard Report is a production of Howe Street Media Incorporated.